Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be with you here today to talk about collective action in Nigeria. This became necessary because with all intention in the world, the government of Nigeria was unable to be everywhere at the same time because the purpose of government regulation was to ensure, number one, standard setting, number two, information gathering around compliance, and number three, behavior modification. So if you don't have the capacity to do all three at the same time, then regulation breaks down. On the other hand, the private sector always favored self-regulation, which also required three things. Number one, that there is an internally motivating force keeping you doing the right thing. And secondly, that there's a strong desire to achieve certain outcomes and avoid others. And finally, that you're able to determine the standards by which your actual or anticipated behavior will be measured. That's on the business side. And we found that if those three things were not in place, it would be difficult to get self-regulation. And some people said, oh, maybe we should have stakeholder activism. But again, without the social capital, without the leverage over business or over government, it was difficult to get that going. So we had to have collective action between stakeholder activism, the private sector, and the government. So we had formed the Convention on Business Integrity in 1997 as a way of creating a level playing field for business in Nigeria. But it was so difficult because it was only the converted that we could get to come together and do the right thing. So eventually, we designed this as a corporate governance rating system, which then got mainstreamed into the Nigeria Stock Exchange, and it became part of the rules. So today, we have the listed companies on the stock exchange having to meet the corporate governance rating standard. And in order to be listed on the premium segment of the market, according to the Securities and Exchange Commission, you have to have a rating, a CGRS rating, which is what we provide in order to connect decisions in the boardroom with the fortunes of the company and force companies to think a bit more ethically than they used to behave. And I'm glad to say that today, at least the companies that represent 90% of market capitalization in Nigeria are all CGRS rated, and they have passed the ethics criteria that is in place. This is one of the corporate governance standards we put in place. It was designed between 2010 and 2014, and we've been running it from 2015 till date. The second initiative that we're involved in Nigeria came about because we said, okay, so companies are now able to focus on their ethical behavior. But what about the ethical behavior of those who are in their supply chain? We've got to do something about that. What about the behavior of the intermediaries, like the lawyers, the accountants, the real estate agents? So we had to start working on professional ethics and ethics amongst professionals in Nigeria. But the area which we thought was most urgent was the interface of those companies with the ports and the government agencies in the ports. And this is where we've been working with the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network in Nigeria in order to ensure that through collective action, we can reduce the levels of corruption in vessel clearance in Nigeria. The project started in 2012, and gradually, one little change after the other, by 2019, we had the highest number of complaints of the demands of for large cash payments. 2020, this had reduced to 128 demands. And last year, we only recorded 40. And each time, all of these complaints get resolved, typically during the port operations of that vessel. And as of today, only out of that 40, only 2 are unresolved, which we're still following up on. So we got a lot of success trying to show, in partnership with the government, defining standard operating procedures, having an effective grievance reporting mechanism, ensuring that there is an accountability mechanism through a help desk, which we set up in partnership with the Nigeria Shippers Council, to make sure that the complaints from ship captains get to the places where it could be resolved. And that has given us a lot of traction, a lot of success. And the government also responded by setting up a port standing task team made up of officials who could then police other officials to make sure they were complying with the standard operating procedures. Now, based on the success there, we're trying to ensure that in cargo clearance, we can try to replicate the same thing from the vessel to the warehouse, and now from the warehouse to the consumer, trying to reduce corruption in that process. So we keep looking after the private sector by trying to anticipate where the biggest challenges would be around the desire to give in to corruption. And those are the areas in which we intervene with activities in collective action to reduce corruption. Thank you very much.